I played football for a long time with Miss Decker's son, and Angel. I've never seen Angel hurt anybody. Angel's a good dog.
Okay.
I got a question for the.
Let's bring it back together.
I got a question for police officer. What was your purpose for approaching this man right here? I forgot his name.
Oh, good one. What?
He was just getting some coffee. He was just a harmless bystander.
Why are you bothering people outside of the Speedy Mart?
After I saw him bend down, pretend to drop something, and go through.
Wait, he dropped something? Did he?
After going through the sewer, we found a plastic bag, which later came back with remnants of cocaine on it.
How do you know that's his?
Whether or not it's his or not his, it was a suspicion that it was his. It's not my job to tell somebody if they're innocent or guilty. That's lawyers and the court's job.
Okay, it sounds like you guys are asking really good questions, finding some weaknesses. As you know, our witnesses might have some different stories. So we have another question from Luke Moore. Who would like to ask it?
Okay. You said you seen him bend down, right? So you seen him drop something, or you just seen him bend down? Because he could have just been bending down the tires.
I've seen the behavior of somebody running away and then pretending to drop something, throw objects away, many, many times on the 13 years on the force. So I suspected as well that either he can't walk or he's trying to hide something.
So I'm going to go around.
I also saw Gibson drop something on the ground, too.
So whether or not it's coke, whether or not it's sugar, it was definitely littering.
I'm going to come back around again. Here's a speed guard question. Listen to the speed guard question.
I have a question for the cop.
Okay, let's let everyone focus back into the question. Okay.
If you said that you received a phone call about in front of the market, right?
Mm-hmm.
When you received the phone call, was it like a high-profile area, or did you just bother just go around?
I was just in the area doing dispatch. They just call whoever's the closest.
Where did you receive the phone call at?
I arrived on the scene around 4:40 in the PM, so maybe like 10 minutes before that.
Okay.
Okay, good one. I'm going to go all around. I'll come back. Okay, school without walls. Who's got the question? Okay.
So this is for Officer Parnes, or Parnay, I guess. So what's your track record? Have incidents like this happened before, or is this like a first-time thing?
My first dog.
Never killed a dog before, officer?
I don't believe so, right?
Banneker, you've been kind of quiet. Do you have a question for us?
Is there any, is there use of force provision or any other protocol regarding dangerous threats from animals?
If a dog is in a uncontrolled, if a dog is perceived to be a threat and it's out of control, a animal control officer or police officer is legally able to tranquilize or kill that dog without a warrant.
But Miss Medway.
Yes.
I would like to follow up to this young lady's answer.
Okay, we've got some concern from our security officer.
This is very important. I have studied this policy, and I found that this officer deviated from their policy in several important respects. So I think the important question is not whether there was a policy in place, but whether he followed it. And I do not think he has done so here.
How wasn't he there? So there is a police policy on this.
There is.
And what was he doing wrong?
For example, we have found, he should not have put himself in a situation where he would have been alone in a rowdy crowd. We have studied and found in the past that 48% of incidents involving a single responding police officer has resulted in a violation of the constitutional rights of the arrestee or defendant. He has known this, and the policy is reflective of that. And so I have no idea why.
Everyone knows that more people is better. And you ask my boss what reason why I'm working the beat alone, and he'll tell you money. There's no money.
Okay, we'll get back to Dunbar, but I want to hear from Cardozo.
Sorry for interrupting, but
Got a question, darling?
I like interrupting.
Okay. Okay, you got it?
I want to know,
It's okay.
did he, I know he shot the dog because he said that's his first time.
Yeah. Think about your question, okay? Okay, what you got?
I had a question for the police officer. That do you know? Are you familiar with your Fourth Amendment? Because you did search and seizure, and you didn't have the right to do that.
She was on public property. The dog is her property, but the dog was not on a leash. The dog was on a leash, but the leash was not in her hand. The dog's leash was not in her hand.
Yeah, he's talking
Okay, we're
The
coming.
guy?
She's talking about when you took my arm and wrenched it
Harry
behind my
Gibson,
back.
you know a
before
lot
drinking
about the
coffee.
Fourth Amendment. Okay. Okay, things are getting contentious,
Again, we're
you guys.
we're
You're
public
asking
property.
really good
That's what I saw.
questions.
It's
We're
not
gonna
his home.
ask.
He has no rights in his home. It's
I
on
know
public
everyone
streets.
has good questions. We're gonna
I
ask
don't need a warrant.
5 more questions. So let's think about this. What schools want to ask a question? Okay. Here's a new plan. Every school gets 1 more question. So it's got to be a good one. So I'm going to give you 2 minutes, only 1 more question for each school. It's got to be a good one. So you guys agree on it.
Everybody's totally bought my secret.
Not necessarily a friendly crowd for you.
I don't know. I think that's what I can see. I was even exhibits.
Erica, good luck.
Okay, you do that and what? Okay. 30 more seconds. Okay, I'm gonna bring it back together. We're bringing it back together. So what we can do is when I get to your class, just raise your hand if you're the representative from your class. Let me see, who's the question askers? Raise your hand if you're a question asker. Okay. Okay, we're gonna do our last round, so I'm gonna wait till we have everyone back. I'm waiting. We almost have everyone. Bell's a little rowdy. Okay, here we go. So the last question is from Wilson. What do we have?
Ms. Decker, do you have a video?
Where's the video, Miss Decker?
Pardon me?
Where's the video you took?
Well, actually, when I put the phone down, it erased.
Wah, wah. Okay, last questions from Dunbar. Okay.
This is for Officer Pons. Mm-hmm. You said that the dog was on a leash, but she didn't have a leash. But did the dog attack you in any violent way or come at you in any way that you had to shoot him?
When I tried to grab the phone, the dog snarled, showed its teeth, got up, was ready to pounce, and no leash was being held.
Okay, there you go, Jamel. That's all you got, my friend.
Ms. Medley?
Okay.
Medway.
May I interject?
Yeah, so let me bring you back for the vet. You'll get 2.
In all fairness to pit bulls, there is a very particular pit bull behavior when they're in front of a stranger. It's in order for them to get closer by seeming to basically smile. It's called a bully smile. And it's a very wide grin where teeth are shown and then their butt wiggles. And then they get closer to the person to sniff them. So it should be kept in mind. This is a very common pit bull behavior.
Okay. So sometimes when pit bulls meet new people, they'll do a bully smile where they'll open their mouth and show their teeth, but it's not in a mean way, and they'll shake their tail. So, just so you know, that sometimes happens. Luke Moore has 2 teams. So Baloo has 2 teams, so it gets 2 questions, and Luke Moore gets 2 questions because it has 2 teams.
This question is for the officer. If you had a call for the store and all Miss Decker was doing was recording, what was your purpose of going over there? Maybe she was recording because she felt that you was locking him up for no reason at all. So maybe that could have helped him. And then you shot her dog for what?
A couple reasons. First, Miss Decker, when I tried to approach Terry, Miss Decker screamed, "Come over here, everybody. Check out this police officer. Let's get him out of our neighborhood."
Okay.
So by getting that phone, if I could get that phone, and if I could get that evidence, it would show her saying this and trying to incite a riot. Eventually,
Or it would show me getting attacked by the police.
there was 12 and eventually 20 people. And when I tried to arrest Terry, somebody threw like a rock or something at me. And then someone threw a rock at my vehicle. So I'm surrounded by 20 some odd people, a woman screaming with her cell phone and barking dog, trying to arrest someone as well.
Sound a little defensive, Officer Parnes.
She's not listening to my commands. I tell her to stop recording. I tell her to control her dog. I hear her speaking English, so I know she speaks English. She's just refusing to obey my commands.
Thank you.
This question is for the officer. Did you shoot the dog before you locked him up? Did you lock him up, then you shot the dog?
I locked him up first.
Good question. Spin darn, 1 from 5th and 1 from 6th. 1 from 5th period, 1 from 6th period. Who's asking? Okay, here you go.
I have a question for both the owner of the dog and the officer. Did you two know that both of you switched both y'all stories up 3 times?
Oh, how did they switch it? How did Ms. Decker switch it?
She said that she had a videotape showing what happened. Then when somebody else asked a question, she said she didn't have a tape.
Why are you not giving it to us straight, Ms. Decker?
No, let me tell you, I was videoing it. And then when the cop tried to take my phone, somehow it erased. The video erased from the camera. When I put it down on my side, right.
Okay. Okay, 6th period spin guard. Wait for it.
They took your dog. It's bad enough.
This question for the police officer. Why don't you ask the lady to get her dog?
I did ask her to control her dog, but she refused and continued to just hold her phone and continue recording.
So he tried. So we've got Wilson. Now last one from School Without Walls. And the last one from Cardozo. Okay, School Without Walls.
Okay, so everyone's asking questions about the police, but I have a question for Terry. As in, why is the police targeting you? Is like, why are you suspected of having cocaine? Do you have a criminal record?
Oh, good question.
We all make mistakes in life. I've been living in this town for 11 years now. I think that's right. Yeah, 11 years now, and there's been twice where I've had small run-ins with the police. When I was young, at one point, I may have taken. When I left the store with something, I may or may not have paid for it. They, for some reason, thought that was shoplifting. And the second time is a couple years ago. I might have gotten caught with some marijuana. But
And at the end of this day, I mean, what, did they let you go, Terry?
I mean, at the end of what?
At the end of your arrest, did they say, oh, we've made a mistake?
I mean, are you questioning that? Like, yes, it's true that once I was brought in, they may have found some other like marijuana on me, but it's not the same thing. I mean, I was arrested for drinking coffee. Even if they, the fact that they happened to find marijuana on me is totally.
Even though you had drugs on you. Okay. Okay, last one from Cardozo. Okay. Woo, my Lord in heaven.
Okay, this is for the officer. Since you said that 20 people was attacking your car, when were you going to call for backup?
I had called for backup right when the numbers increased past a dozen. Pretty much when Ms. Decker was inciting more and more people to come and watch.
Dr. Chen, would that have been the correct time to call for backup?
No.
So you really think you did a bad job here, huh?
The policy is very clear. You cannot show up to these situations by yourself.
Okay, Baloo's gonna be our finale. Bell. Okay, you ready, Muna?
Okay. Have you ever been disciplined in your, in your...
Officer Parnes, have you gotten in trouble?
No.
Stellar record.
Clean record.
Banneker, your last question.
Other than a gun, what other non-lethal weapons did you have to defend yourself against the dog?
Against a dog? Just these. A taser would not. A taser would not kill the dog. A taser could kill the dog. It totally missed the dog.
Okay, one from third
baton,
period Baloo and one from fourth period.
Flashlight, mace.
Liana, you got this? Last two questions.
I got a question for Miss Decker. Was you doing anything to provoke the crowd?
No, I wasn't. I was just videoing what was going on with my son's friend. I was just videoing that. I was minding my own business.
My follow-up is, were you narrating at all? Were you saying anything?
Well, I did tell the crowd, look, see what's going on. But.
Okay, what's our last Baloo? Fourth period. Baloo, you think you guys are gonna win this?
Come on, no questions. All right, look though, this is for
Terry.
the man that has the criminal record. My question for you is, do y'all have some type of agreement? Because it's like everything Mrs. Decker says, you just nod your head and agreeing with it. And you can't answer this yes or no. I learned that.
All I know is I got attacked by the police. She came out to take a video of it, and she gets her dog shot. So all I'm nodding along to is that I agree that, there was just no reason to shoot her dog because she was taking a video of the police attacking me.
Okay. Brandon, we're done, honey. You're gonna have lots of time to come up with your questions. So here's the deal. Sometimes questions aren't fair. That's one of the troubles about Q&As. But look, you all had great questions. You're really going to the heart of the matter here. Now, I just want to make sure we're all clear. This isn't a criminal case. Okay? This isn't for murder of the dog. This is, you as a citizen have rights under the Constitution. And if someone in the government, like a police officer, violates those rights, you have a right as a citizen to bring a civil case where you tell the judge and the jury your story, and then they decide whether your rights have been violated. Mrs. Decker believes that her First Amendment rights have been violated because she couldn't shoot her video, and she believes that her Fourth Amendment rights are violated because they shot her dog. You'll study, when you're studying the Fourth Amendment, judges have ruled that your dogs are your property. And so if any cop does anything to those dogs, that's a violation of the Fourth Amendment, or it could be. So that's what you guys are gonna be figuring out. Now there's a lot of backstory and you're gonna have to get through that and think about it, but always remember that's the final thing that you're trying to prove. Now, what we're gonna do now, we're gonna set up the pizza, but it's gonna take us 8 minutes. And so while we do that, we wanna show you what you guys are gonna be at the end of these 2 months. Because you're gonna go from being high school students to litigators. You're gonna be in the Superior Courthouse. So when this happens, let me just tell you, there's gonna be 2 rounds of competition. You're gonna have 2 chances to do this. You're gonna be at the Superior Courthouse. We're getting real judges who work there to judge your trial. And attorneys will be scoring each and every one of you. And maybe you think you can't do it, but in 2 months, you guys are gonna be the real deal. You're gonna be great litigators.
Thank you, Sarah, and thank you. Those were really, really great questions. We're going to show you a short video, and I'm going to tell you a little bit about it first. We're just going to show you one witness examination at the end. But this took place about 20 to 25 years ago, another one between Coolidge and Blue High Schools. And this was the case. The case was called Neighbors Against AIDS Homes versus Our House, or NA versus Our House. And the neighbors said that they didn't want a house in the community that would house people with AIDS. But the people in Our House, there were 6 of them, they had been given a house they could live in, and they said, we just want to live in this house as a group. Sure, they're going to get a little bit of medical attention and have their shots and have their medical care take place, but it was just for them a place to live. So the problem was there was a zoning law, and the zoning law says if it was just a house, they could live there, but if it was a medical facility, they could be kicked out. Okay, if it was just a house, they could live there, and the medical facility, they could be kicked out. So the trial went on between Coolidge and Ballou. The Ballou team, you're going to see at the end, they had 11 players. There's 11 roles in this trial, and you can fill them with 11 students, or you can have some people double up the roles. You don't have to have 11 students do them. But they had 11 girls, and they had the last witness here was a girl named Yanni DeVore. And she plays the role of the witness with AIDS, and she's going to tell you about her AIDS. What I want you to know is at this point in the trial, Coolidge, the other team that's going to do the cross-examination, I didn't know this at the time, but I have a pretty good guess, Coolidge was ahead. So the whole trial hinged on Yanni DeVore's, the young woman's testimony that you're about to see. And when you see it, I want you to think about what made her a good witness, if she was a good witness. What made her a good witness? And then I'll tell you a little bit about her story and what happened. So, does this work?
You guys don't need us.
No, you can, panel, you can step down. Thank you so much. Give a big hand to the panel.
Ms. Brown, are there any further questions of Dr. Moss at this time? All right, thank you. Doctor, you may step down. Call your next witness, please.
May it please the court, my name is Samantha Snyder, and I'm a defense attorney for Our House, and I'll be direct examining Ms. Terry Campbell.
All right, Ms. Snyder, thank you. State your name, please.
Yanni DeVore.
All right, thank you, Ms. DeVore.
Ms. Campbell, will you please state your name and address?
Terry Campbell, 4210 Clover Street, Northwest.
Ms. Campbell, do you have AIDS?
Yes.
Could you tell us how you got the virus?
I got the virus from a transfusion contaminated with HIV.
Could you tell us what the transfusion was for?
I'm a hemophiliac.
Can you explain to the court what a hemophiliac is?
Hemophiliac is when you get cut. Your clotting agents stop. They don't work. So therefore I need transfusion for more blood.
Okay. Where did you meet Miss Vicki Knight?
At a local AIDS clinic meeting.
And how did you come to live at Our House?
At that meeting, Ms. Knight told me she was opening Our House. I then applied to live there and was accepted.
What type of experience did Our House give you?
It gave me a good experience that if you had to have the AIDS.
Could you explain that in further detail?
You see, now I have a home, a place to feel comfortable. They're supportive, we care for, and about each other. Being alone, being alone, I'm afraid of something happening to me and no one being there to help me. I want to be there with someone to care about me.
Okay. Are there any special precautions that our house takes because the residents have AIDS?
Yes.
Ms. Campbell, now we are going to talk about some of these precautions. How is medication handled?
We keep track of who gets what medication and when it is taken.
And how does the household handle trash?
We have specific containers with lids for our waste and colored bags for certain kinds of waste.
And how is the waste disposed of?
We have a waste carting company which comes a couple of times a week to take it away.
Okay. Knowing you're gonna die from the AIDS virus, what are your feelings?
Everyone's gonna die sometime. That's a hard question. We'll just be together. We'll have, excuse me. At least we have somebody. We'll be with the family together. We'll have some support.
Okay. Do you feel welcome in your neighborhood?
No, I feel discriminated against. We are not able to join in with community activities.
Okay, let's move to another subject. The vans at our house, what are they used for?
We have 2 vans, one for transportation and the others for educating our community about AIDS.
How do you go about educating the community?
We answer questions, and if requested, we pass out brochures and condoms and give addresses for those who need counseling and to get screening for HIV.
Okay. Ms. Campbell, do you recall an incident a few months ago when you fell outside?
Yes.
Can you describe what happened that day?
One day, I took a walk and I fell face first. I started to bleed. Of course, I'm a hemophiliac. I couldn't stop. No one came to my rescue for a while. And then someone came, I don't know who, but I heard a voice while someone was getting a towel, and they said, "Stop, she has AIDS." That person. Oh, I don't know how they could say that. Of course I have AIDS, but I needed help. And that person was nice enough to help me.
Okay, thank you, Ms. Campbell. No further questions, Your Honor.
Thank
Let's just stop for a second before we see the cross-examination. What did you think of that direct examination? Was there anything about it that you liked? And just hear from some of the students. Basic questions. Good. And was the witness the star? Did you focus on what she was saying? Yes? Yes, in the back? Yeah, she got to explain all about her situation. They're very. Anything else about the kinds of questions? Some of you gasped. Yeah. She was detailed. She knew her testimony, didn't she? Did she know it all the time, though? She didn't know it all the time. Yes?
Her questions were non-leading questions.
They were non-leading questions. Absolutely. They're open-ended questions because they made her the star. I'm going to tell you something about her, though, but you remember that one point they said a couple of questions, and she sort of looked up and she started like, what was the answer? She started running the thing back in her mind. The reason I show this tape is because Miss DeVore, who is the young woman there, and this is the last witness, she actually has a problem with her memory. So she didn't want to participate in the mock trial because she thought that she might let her team down. But the rest of the kids on her team, her other 10 teammates, said, no, we're going to stick with you, and we're going to work with you until you can remember all of these details. So this was a young woman who, at this time when this was done, felt that she could not remember this, and that her teammates, her classmates, and her law students spent hours and hours working with her so she could come up and remember them. And even then, you could see there were moments when she had to go back and remember them. But she did get in touch with them, didn't she? She was in touch with this. When they asked, how do you feel? She came through. Well, let's see what happens when a really good cross-examiner goes up against her. The kid cross-examining her from Coolidge is really ready for her, is going to really attack her. Let's see what Yanni DeVore does to him.
Snyder, cross-examine, please.
Good evening, Your Honor. If it may, and I'm co-counsel for the plaintiffs.
All right, good afternoon, Mr. Howard.
Hello, Ms. Campbell.
Hello.
Is it true that you are a resident of our house?
Yes.
Is it true that you have AIDS?
Yes.
Is it also true that you are a hemophiliac?
Yes.
It comes
back. Yeah. Is it true that you bleed, and is it true that you bleed easily, and if cut, you bleed and can't stop?
Yes.
Is it true that you take unaccompanied walks, Mrs. Campbell?
I take walks with somebody, but at that time I didn't.
So it is true that you take unaccompanied walks? That you have taken an unaccompanied walk?
Yes.
Is it also true that on that one occasion when walking by yourself, you suffered a fall?
Yes.
As a result of this fall, you started bleeding profusely, didn't you?
Could you be more specific about?
You started bleeding a lot.
Yes.
A passerby stopped to help you, didn't she, Miss Campbell?
Excuse me?
A passerby stopped to help you, didn't she?
I know when someone stopped.
A passerby in a car stopped to help you?
Yes.
Okay. And this passerby came in direct contact with your contaminant?
No, I don't recall.
Okay. I'll move on to my next question, Your Honor.
All right, sir.
Is it true that our house is like any other house, Mrs. Campbell?
Yes.
Isn't it true that patients in our house are given medication?
Excuse me, we're not patients. We are a family.
Is it true that the residents of our house are given medication?
Yes.
Isn't it also true that in our house special precautions must be taken for the disposal of waste?
Yes.
Isn't it true that these precautions are necessary to protect the residents and the neighbors from coming into direct contact with the AIDS virus?
Could you repeat that, please?
Isn't it true that these precautions are necessary to protect residents and neighbors from coming into contact with the AIDS virus?
I guess so.
So is that a yes, Mrs. Campbell?
One more time, repeat it one more time, please.
Isn't it true that these precautions are necessary to protect the residents and the neighbors from coming into contact with the AIDS virus?
Yes.
Thank you. There are handrails on the walls of our house, hospital-like handrails.
They are handrails.
Okay, thank you. Isn't it also true that there are hospital beds on wheels
No,
for the
they're
residents? Are there beds on wheels for the residents of our house?
Yes.
Mrs. Campbell, haven't we just described a healthcare facility, not a home?
No, you described a home that has
Thank
a
you.
family.
No more questions, Your Honor.
All right. Thank you, Mr. Howard.
Well, thoughts about the cross-examination. How did she do? Yes. Yeah, on cross-examination, though, she already had the explanation on direct, so she didn't have a chance to, she's not supposed to explain herself. But what did she do instead of being, she couldn't explain herself, she could just answer yes or no, so how did she neutralize that guy? She kept going, yes? Kept referring to being a family, yes, in the blue? Yeah. Yes, in the back? She just said it was regular. And she was so sincere. When he asked a very tough question that she couldn't remember because it was a long question and she has a memory problem, she just asked him. She wasn't hostile. She wasn't upset. She just said, please repeat it. She was honest and sincere, and she told the story as honest and nicely as a person could be, and took all of that guy's meanness and turned it around right on top of him. It was magnificent. So this is the end of the story. So there were 3 judges. You could get up to 5 points apiece for each of the categories. She got a perfect 15 from each judge. She got 45 points for that testimony. And Baloo won by 3 points. So her last witness won the trial for her team, and she was a kid who, before doing this, felt that she couldn't. So one of the reasons I like to show this, not only does it show you fabulous, magnificent advocacy of the kind that you all can do by practice and working on this and learning the facts of the case with the help of your law students and your mentors and your teammates, but also that even if you initially feel maybe you can't do this, believe me, I know that you all can. But now we're going to reward you. Miss Medway is going to come up, and we're going to reward you with the last step. Sarah.
This is ready. So what we're going to do is, let's start with spit. We're just doing it from the back all up. I know. You early birds. It's very mean. So that spit bar. You guys start back there.
There'll be plenty.
Until I call you. Oh, it's so hard to be done bar.
Well,